Yes, yes, yes. Peace, my brethren and good sister of the world. Good evening and welcome to RockTrue Beatz. I am your host, Chris Lyon, also known as Marley King. And we thank you for joining us as we rock truth to absolutely nothing at all. RockTrue Beatz is a cross-cultural response to the lack of choice in music today. RockTrue Beatz is designed to provide a sound message from theory to lab to life, while encouraging the necessity to return back to origin by way of relative keys, his kingdom principles. RockTrue Beatz seeks to inspire, enlighten, and highlight upcoming and established local and international kings and queens, musical artists of character, while promoting kingdom consciousness and awareness of who we are and to whom we belong. Yes, yes. Peace. Welcome to RockTrue Beatz this evening time, man.
Yes,
Chris Lyon, Marley King, got my brethren Will in the building this evening time. Good
yes,
to see him, man. Good to see him back on this wonderful Tuesday. I'm so glad that the rain held up a little bit. I thought I was going to have to change up my location on the spur of the moment. But, you know, as always, I'm back out here in nature. Got the little pool vibes behind me, you see? So
yeah,
something serious today, man. Glad the weather held up, man. Jah
yeah,
willing, you know?
for now.
Hey, for now, it's only a matter of time before the weather sneak right back in. But you
Yeah,
know what I can say is that I'm so glad for all of this rain that's come, because all of the plants around us need it right now. We've been sitting in a state of a drought for the past few months here, you know, so it's very important that this water came in. You know, I know a lot of people might have been stressing from their water bills or their NIPSCO bills, from
yeah,
the heat or from the lack of rain. But nonetheless, we're gonna take what Jah give us, man, and it's something serious. You know, that water really make everybody sprout up, just like ourselves. Same way, man. Give us some water and we're gonna perk up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, man. Something serious.
there's life in water, man. There's life,
Ooh, man.
and people, like if you even if you just take a moment to read the Bible, you'll realize that without water, we wouldn't be here, right? I'm just saying, like it's a reason that God flooded the earth so that He could create it anew, so that He can populate it anew. And we are that new population. We're water children. We come out of that great flood, and it is a reason for it. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be here.
Sure enough, water is the giver of life and the bringer of destruction as well, man. We got them two polarities, them two dualities, man. But they all reside under one thing, man, the Most High,
No.
man, the power of the Creator. Is something serious. Always got to give thanks for the water. And we always have to respect the water, too. You know, I think that's why a lot of people lose their life every year from drowning and things like that, you know, from the lack of respect for water. You could be the most experienced person out there swimming in the water, but at the same time, you know, you could be the one that goes out there and water takes over, you know, and takes you down to the depths. You know, it's something serious. So always got to have that respect, you know. Serious piece, my brethren.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely, man.
I tell people all the time, you can want to try to live off different substances in life. You know, you can try to. For me, I tried to live off alcohol for a long time, right? It doesn't work. Guess what? Alcohol is one of the most addictive drugs on the planet. It's worse than it's right up there with caffeine. So
I definitely agree.
You got to be careful with stuff like that, man. And water, like you said, it's the giver of life, and it can also take it. So anything that's good to you like that, you got to be careful with. So. Yeah.
It's so wonderful you say that and put that into perspective, because everything that we consume at this day and age, whether or not it's food or it's different, like you said, alcoholic substances or just substances in general, or even what we consume through the music or mentally or audibly, there's pros and cons to this, man. We could eat too much food and it could be detrimental to us. We could drink too much water and die from it, from flooding out our bodies, man, you know. And same way with everything else, man. Maybe alcohol, not maybe, but alcohol has many beneficial properties, you know. And just like anything else, we could consider food a drug, because food can be used and abused as well.
Absolutely.
You know, there's many different things that could be used and abused. Music especially, like we talk about here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. We always talking about the way the music is being used, but and abused at the same time. We using the music for entertainment, man, for feel good, for vibes, you know. But then we also using it for destruction, whether or not it's consciously or unconsciously, knowing or unknowingly.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a way to see the pros and cons of all of this, man. So that was great that you brought that up, and a great way for us to put that into perspective as well. Using and abusing, man. Substances is something serious. I got so many people that I know that are plagued by substance abuse, man.
Yeah.
And you know, at the same time, man, we gotta channel that energy, that spirit from the Most High, man, and be able to press away from all of that stuff. You know, a lot of people, you know, they tend to shun a lot of things when they start being engulfed in the substances, man. You know, but for me, if I use something like ganja, or I dive deep into maybe like more of a hallucinogenic like an ayahuasca or a mushroom, those things would be used, not abused, but they were used for ritualistic ceremony in a sense, man. You know, to bring you, you're already at that high height, but bring you to that higher height to reach that pinnacle with the Most High, man, to bring you closer to the source per se, you know. So like I said, everything could be used and abused, and it all just depends on the person that's consuming the medicine, you know. And I'm saying all of these words, and these words can be used interchangeably with things like food, music, water. All of these things are food and medicine for us as well, you know. So I like the way that we're able to get really versatile with the thing like that, put things into a serious perspective.
The Bible does it like this. Jesus says it like this. It's not what you consume that defiles you. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. In other words, he's saying it like this. He says it like this. It's not the food that you eat, it's how you use the food. That's the problem.
Oh my goodness!
It's how it's we consume a whole wealth of knowledge, right? We consume everything that's in our environment, but when we spew it back out, that's what determines if it's life or death. That's what determines if it's right or wrong. Not good or bad, but right or wrong. It's not what we put in that's bad. It's how we use what we put in. And just like you said, you can take hallucinogens, you can take mushrooms, you can take all of these different chemicals and whatnot and ingest them. But if you are ingesting too much of them in such a way that it causes you to not have the right mindset, now you're abusing it. So now you're defiling what God created. And guess what? That's against God. That's against what he designed it for in the first place. That's not how God wants us to operate, man.
Wow, man, it's really, really, really deep, man. I really like how you put that into perspective. It just it opens up the mind so much more, man. Yeah, I think a lot of us are deceived, or a lot of things are misrepresented when it comes to the media projecting different pieces of information on us. Even through some of the text, man, there could be a lot of misleading text out there too. You know, I know a lot of true knowledge and truth lies within the books, but there can also be some spreading of misinformation through that as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm, like I said, I'm glad the way that we was able to put it in perspective right there, because DMT. Maybe she's referring to DMT, or maybe DHT is something that I don't know about. But absolutely, all of these things, especially in my perspective, and the more I grow wiser in the years, I start to understand that not everything was put here as something bad, or we shouldn't use this, we shouldn't use that. It was put. Everything has a purpose, you know. You got a purpose on this planet. I got a purpose on this planet. The mosquito has a purpose. Well, I don't know. The mosquito might be going a little bit too far, because that thing is wicked, man. But you understand what I'm saying? There's certain objects, or certain animals, or certain plants. Everything has a purpose out here, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's inside you?
Yeah, it's
man. Oh man.
She said, "Oh yeah, it's DMT." So I guess that she misspoke. It's DMT.
I know. I'm about to say. I said somebody consuming a pesticide. That's wicked, man.
So wait, what's DMT? Because this is new to me. I don't know what that one is.
Okay. Okay. So DMT stands for dimethyltryptamine. Okay. Maybe Dr. I could explain the chemistry of it a little more. I wish she would chime in. Like I said, that's my wingman on Tuesdays. I'm gonna get her here eventually though.
And put her in the show right quick, because she got to explain that one.
Hey, real talk. I know she got the tools to go ahead and navigate right now and put some serious knowledge right here so we can explain that. But DMT is dimethyltryptamine, and it's a hallucinogenic substance that's actually produced inside of our brain. So our body produces this naturally, and I find this very symbiotic with many other substances that are out there, many other plants or substances that are contained within the plants. I find that in many of them, a lot of substances reflect on what's inside of us. You know, we have these particular glands that release these chemicals, and these chemicals bring us to this certain state. And to me, like I said, she'll have to explain DMT a little more. I'm just giving you my what I know about it. Like I said, we rocking truth, man. So I ain't gonna put no lies on here, man. Nonetheless, when we consume these, they take us to almost I want to say like another realm per se, or maybe like we were speaking about earlier, closer to the source or connection with the creator or the spirit, the Most High. So when we're talking about ingesting these things, we're kind of heightening the level of. There you go. Here, we're going to read this real quick. It's a compound your brain produces under certain conditions like deep meditation and sometimes even during deep sleep. Right, like the REM sleep when you start going into your dream state. And we'll talk about something else that goes hand in hand with that here in a second, because I had an experience a couple of weeks ago, man. Anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me stay on track. So we ingest these chemicals or these compounds like DMT or psilocybin, and even THC, because we have glands inside of our brain as well, different receptors that are able to release certain levels of THC and CBD into our body, into our bloodstream, and then we're able to feel the effects of those naturally. But anyways, when I think back to the ancient times, you know, especially in the days of the Crusades, you know, we'll jump all the way back to these deep times, maybe even before that, when they were starting to write these different books of philosophy and of context. They would, at least this is how I want to interpret it. Do I have I mean, there's knowledge on both sides of the table to back up both sides. Some people say maybe they didn't use hallucinogenics, or maybe they did use hallucinogenics, but it seems like in a lot of these places of worship, they always talk about this particular connection that they have, or this vision. Remember, you and I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week, where we talked about how back in the day people were so much more in tune back then, you know. Right. They was able to receive messages or have that real deep conversation with the creator or the source. Right. Now, a theory of mine, and I'm only saying a theory because I said there's both sides to the spectrum here. A theory of mine is that some of these, and we see this even through different forms of art. You know, we start to see, you know, paintings and pictures of times of like the Sistine Chapel and stuff like that, man. And we start to see different items or different objects, and not every, especially when it came to the foods and the fruits, and not every object represented the fruit. You know, some things had like the apple, for example. The apple likes to represent knowledge. They see that as the fruit of knowledge, and we see that through the times of the Garden of Eden, right? You know, so different items had symbiotic meanings to them, meaning that they didn't just reflect an apple is an apple. An apple meant something else, something more deeper, and only the wise men, the chosen few, you know, those ascending masters that we may call some folks. They are the ones to interpret that. Just like, for example, if I go out in public and I say, yo, Will, and I throw up a peace sign, most people are going to interpret that as, hey, he's saying what's up to him. But that could mean a totally another signal to you, you know, that only you and I know. And a lot of things had this particular notion or symbol that was put on them. And I think that when we start to see those, then we can almost start to interpret, especially if we look into the deeper context, when we start to hear about these conversations or how people were transforming or having these visions. I'm inclined to say that, you know, maybe some folks was ingesting some of these hallucinogenic substances then, you know, whether or not it was, and I'm sure they knew why it was back then, you know, if they knew what this substance did, and like I said, they interpreted it differently than we use it now. Like we use a lot of things recreationally. It's evolved into a recreational society. Back then, we can almost fathom that they were using these things to bring us closer to source, you know, to have these prophetic visions, to have these deeper connections with the source. Now,
I got
go ahead, Bridget.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Oh, shoot, man. Dr. Ock, man. What is up?
With your science show, but I want to hear more about this DMT stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not a whole lot that's like understood about it, because scientists and, you know, medicine hasn't really studied it, because they can't find like any effect that it has on your body beyond the psychedelic, and that's anecdotal. Like they can't, hook you up to something and see what you're seeing. So people have to tell them that that's what they experience from it. And you can absolutely produce it in your body from deep meditation or extreme like calm and stillness. Like it's a natural substance produced by our bodies, which is why people don't like go off and be all crazy and stuff like they do with like LSD. Like, I've seen some people like never quite come back from that first trip, especially if it was a bad trip. But DHT isn't like that. DMT. I keep saying DHT. I keep saying DHT.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this.
Watch out.
Let me ask you this.
Peace, young queen.
Y'all didn't know this. So last week I had an incident. I was at work. Doors fell on me. Right. And It was intense. Right. It was oh my gosh, where is this going? But anyway, it knocked me out for a few moments. I was out. I did not have any recollection of time of what was going on. Is it true, however, that in extreme cases your body like creates certain chemicals, hormones that cause you not to feel any kind of, because I don't remember any pain in that moment.
I mean that's kind of like the general side effects of adrenaline, and your body is super efficient with getting that stuff exactly where it needs to be, because not only your adrenals produce adrenaline sometimes, so like some of the other organs that we know produce hormones can sometimes take over that production and help with producing it. So when you need an immediate response, all of your organs are actually all your hormone producing organs are actually producing the hormone that you need, like adrenaline and like that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I was just wondering what that was. I'm like, what is this?
It's deep like that, brother. It's deep.
I felt nothing. So
nonetheless, let me jump back in here. I got a quick experience to share, and it doesn't. I guess maybe it can relate to DMT, but I've never tried DMT personally. It's something that I will, but I feel like when these substances come and find you, and that's deep when I say that. That doesn't mean the guy on the street's gonna be like, hey man, you want a bag or you want a hit of this? Okay. Not like that, man. These things have to find you. Me personally, I don't go out there looking for mushrooms. I don't go out there looking for hallucinogenics like that. When they find me, to me, that's a sign of the universe, an opportunity to get closer, man. To really take that next step to the next level. Nonetheless, I'm gonna share a quick story here. And this happened to me roughly about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. So I'll be having pretty lucid dreams already, meaning that when I have a dream at night, I know that I'm in a dream. I'm conscious in the dream. I'm telling myself like, yo, I'm dreaming right now. Crazy to say that, but it's something, it's deep on that level. Nonetheless,
I know exactly how you feel. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Nonetheless, so this only happens to me in the daytime. If I go to practices in the daytime, I started to appreciate naps, even if it's for just an hour, as I start to grow wiser in my years. Naps are really beautiful.
That's awesome. I love that.
Absolutely. 30 minutes or an hour, man, is such a deep experience. But nonetheless, so this happened about 3-4 months ago, and I came home from work about 2:00. So I went and showered up, and laid down for an hour before I had to get back to my next job. So I laid down from 2:00, and I was just sitting there. It was very quiet, very peaceful. Heard the birds chirping and things of that nature. And I started to monitor myself as I started to fall into these deep stages of sleep, as I started climbing the stairway to that door where the REM sleep hits and you start walking into the dream world. So as I started getting there, I started remind you, I was conscious this whole time. I started hearing these pops going on. Like it was a very intense pop, almost like your eardrum is bursting. But my eardrum never bursted. But I kept hearing these pops. And every time I heard those pops, I would get a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. And these pops were loud, like it took away the sound. It felt like my ears were clogged with water. Remember you and I was talking about the lo-fi sound of how it sounds as if you was underwater. That's how these pops sounded. It was of a deep nature like that. And I started to hear voices and things around me, man. And it was a little scary, I can't lie, because I wasn't used to something like that. I've never been able to achieve that level of awareness as I start to, endeavor on into the dream realm. And it it was deep like that. So nonetheless, I started to hear these voices around me and stuff like that. And I maintained my composure and just kept practicing on my breathing and falling deeper and deeper into the dream world. And I started I started seeing things visually after that. Like my dog came downstairs and came and smelled me, but this wasn't happening in reality. Right. You know, it was almost like I went to an alternative reality in a sense. Right. But I started hearing these noises. I heard people coming down the stairs. I heard my uncle getting home. I heard my mother getting home and things of that nature. And it was just very deep. And I don't really know how to explain it so much, but it like I said, it felt like I was going into a deeper form of reality, maybe. Okay. You know, and I think it has to do with different chemicals or different hormones that are being released from our brain. Just like with this DMT, if you take DMT, most people that I know who have experimented with it, they talk about it feeling like they're going into the dream realm, in a sense. You know, I'm only saying in a sense because I can't say that I felt it before, and I don't know what that feels like. But they say it's almost like going into a dream world, and you're awake, you're aware, you could talk, but you really don't want to talk, you know, because everything is just so lucid for you right there. And everybody has their own experience, just like we all have our own dreams, and just like how we all have our own experience with the Most High, man, with the Creator. You know, each individual has its own experience. But nonetheless, man, I think a lot of these things are connected, and the more that we can continue to connect dots like this, it may feel like it's all over the place, but everything's connected from the science to the spirituality to the music to the hallucinogenics to the chemicals to the hormones to our actions to our lifestyles to our liberty. You know, it's something deep out there, man. This world is something really special, and with all the wicked that's being projected on us through things like the media and the music, these wicked sounds, these wicked frequencies, it's only a testimony to why the world is in the state that it's in, man. There's so much more beauty to life than all the wickedness that they project out there, man. And until I realized that, I was in a dark place for a long time, man. You know, I always felt like because this is how they show the world, and this is what I'm living in, that this is how the world really was all around. And then when I got out there and started traveling and opened my mind a little bit, it was very deep, my friend.
Yeah. Now keep talking.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Playing in the background.
Well, nice I had a point to that. Like,
had a point.
I kind of, like I said, I ended up approaching spirituality from a very physical, scientific, it gotta make sense, fact standpoint. And basically from the scientific aspect, like there's a lot of evidence that's really starting to stack up and point to the fact that everything is connected. Like everything affects everything. And I even mentioned this on the science show, is that your environment absolutely determines the body that you have. It determines the emotions that you're able to feel, because you probably experience a bunch of stuff, but you don't know what it is until someone tells you what it is. So we don't know what anger is until somebody tells you, oh, that's anger. Like certain cultures don't even have a word for sad or for angry. Like, because they don't even acknowledge it as like a separate state of being, and that's not something that they want to perpetuate through their society. So they don't even have a word for it. Like, oh, you need a hug. Like that's probably all you'll get. You look like you need a hug. And just understanding kind of how we go about like probing and trying to find more information, it kind of makes me suspect like what was the fruit that they actually ate in the Garden of Eden, because I don't think it was the fruit of knowledge, because we weren't created to be lost or confused or ignorant. If we had any questions, we absolutely could have asked God and he would have told us. So it wasn't that knowledge was being kept from us. So what was it that really, like, you know, separated us? And that's what it is, separation. We ended up viewing ourselves as separate from God. So we felt like we needed to eat that fruit to be like God when we already were just like him. So the false idea of separation that was given to us, we ended up believing it. And so now we still believe that we're separate from God, that we're separate from each other, and that separation is like quite literally killing us.
Right.
Oh, damn, Dr. Ock, that was deep. That was deep, man.
Yeah.
Y'all probably see me enjoying that. I was feeling that every second, man. Every second. If we want to talk, in a physical sense, I don't think there was even an apple in the Garden of Eden. I think it was more likely a fig tree.
Okay.
Because of where apples can and could have grown in. They're not acclimated to that region. Just to put it like that, they're not acclimated to that region. But fig trees were found in of abundance back then and now as well, and it's such a staple in when it came to trading. Along the trade routes all through the Middle East right there. And even nowadays, it's very big in the markets over there. It's used in a lot of cuisine. It's something that's eaten like a staple, as if we were to eat a piece of candy nowadays,
it's
man.
Super nutritious.
Absolutely. The figs, or maybe even a date. I say a date because I like dates, man. Dates are delicious. Medjool dates, they're wonderful. But nonetheless, I think, if we're talking in a physical sense, it was a fig that was there. Yeah. If we're gonna break it down like that, it's a deep one. I wanna add something to what Dr. Ak was saying too. We're talking about the vibration of sound. We want to call that the study of sematics.
Okay.
That's what we call the visualization of sound, and that's how we see it pop up in when you put a bass speaker or a speaker underneath a bowl or a table full of sand, or something of a grainy texture like that. We start to see all these different sounds and these different frequencies as well. I heard you mention on the last show how these different frequencies are used to heal certain things, and one of the big and more prominent studies that was done was with the big oil spill that happened down in the Gulf of Mexico off of Louisiana some years back. Remember that? So when that happened, they had, and people was doing experiments like, how can we clean this up? We don't want to drop chemicals in there to clean it up. We don't want to do this, that, and the other. So people were starting to get creative and get more in tune with Mother Nature. So they started to understand the healing powers of the frequencies of sound. So they went down there and they started projecting. I think it was like a 972 hertz. I could be wrong about the hertz, but it was pretty high up there. They projected a pretty high frequency into the water, and it started to break down the oil slick down there. And I thought that was very connecting to what you had to say earlier, Dr. Ak, about how it can affect the body. Different cancers in the body are caused by a lot of different frequencies. Think about these, man, our cell phones. What's the frequency coming out of these? Right. If we put this by our head and then we put a monitor on us to read us in a different spectrum of light that we can't see in, there's so much more going on. Right. Everybody always talking about, that, it's not there, it's not happening because we can't see it. But that's not the case, man. There's so many other different spectrums of light. Just think about, if you were to take a camera and put it in infrared mode, and go off and take a video of space, you'll be surprised by what you see lurking in these infrared spectrums of light, man. Things that we cannot see with our own eyes, And same thing with audibly. Let's think about the way that whales and different sea life and even different animals communicate. Let's think about our ancestors over in Africa who speak by clicks. These are part of their dialects, and they're so intricate too, man. When you listen to these clicks, man. And when it comes from sea life or human life, they're so distinct, man, and they're very unique depending on where you come from or what part of the world you're in. And I think it's, there needs to be a lot more studies done in that, because there's so much evidence that is to me too profound not to investigate even more. And that's what individuals like us need to take on, Dr. Ak got a job to do, you got a job to do, I got a job to do. But let's also take time to dive a little deeper, man, to give us some more verification. They always say there's not enough human test subjects in order to give us a verified result. But how can you base a test on a lab rat based on how the human body is, man? We may be similar, but we're not the same. No. They say the pig is the closest relative to the human. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's something about the pigs.
Genetically. Yeah, genetically. They have the fewest variants between their DNA and our DNA, which is why the pig anatomy is actually extremely close to the human anatomy. It's almost exactly the same.
Absolutely. Only difference is they don't sweat, man. So they stank, man. That's why.
Yeah, their skin. Watch out. Their skin is different. That's why they have to roll in mud, because they don't sweat, so they're hot. So they have to roll in mud. My goodness, mud, protects their skin from the sun.
They are the largest rodent on the planet Earth.
The pig.
Is that why they delicious?
Yeah, that's exactly why. That sodium in their skin marinate the pig meat.
Hey, watch out. I bet you I taste just as good if I didn't sweat too, man. That's how they go. Oh wow. But it's very deep nonetheless. You know, the way that we don't have enough human studies done on a lot of these different substances or these different. No, we never will, and that's why it's important for us. Yes, we have to acknowledge allopathic medicine. We have to acknowledge
allopathic. I forgot. I was calling it homeopathic.
That's all right. Homeopathic.
I know it was a word that didn't need to exist.
Two scientists. Because I didn't know neither one.
No, because I was talking about how they call traditional medicine allopathic medicine, and they call like alternative medicine holistic medicine. Like it's I don't know, and then they kind of throw all this like crap stuff in there because there's stuff that's like it's not true. It doesn't really work. Like the detox drinks, like they cool and all, but your kidneys and your liver actually detox everything in your body. So if you're not taking care of those, I don't care what you drink, your body isn't detoxing.
Right.
So like that's kind of like and they just throw buzzwords and taglines in there and sell it as science or exactly.
Dr. Let me chime in real quick. So check it out. To add to what you're saying right now, Doc. You're talking about say what you said one more time, Doc.
What? About how they have these different names like tradition, like what is this? The allopathic medicine is like real medicine, and they call holistic medicine everything else or alternative medicine. When it started there, like you had your shamans, your Sufis, depending on where you were and what culture you was in, they had a name, but they were all essentially herbalists and cooks. Like they were literally your mom, your grandma, your auntie. They make here, drink this tea. It tastes horrible, but whatever was wrong with you wouldn't be wrong with you no more now, would it? Because they knew the medicine in the plants. Like we put garlic and onion in like pretty much everything for a reason. Like garlic and onion is like the staple of stay healthy. So that's where that stuff came from. And doctors, when they started going to school, they would actually I guess consult these people in the villages about the medicines and treatments and stuff. So it's like, and then they tried to take it and say, oh, well, that's not clean medicine because we do this and everything's sterilized and we've renamed stuff and given it. It's like, sit down. Don't try to reinvent the wheel now. Like, and that's what they do. Even all the medications are synthetic versions of something that naturally occurs in a plant somewhere or in a bacterial culture. They live in their life producing their own antibiotics. That's where a lot of antibiotics come from too, is from bacteria. They don't like other bacteria in their space, so they make stuff to kill other bacteria. So, yeah. Gotta chime in on you again, Dr. Ak. Yo, check this out, man. So I've been practicing herbology for the past 3 years, man. I've been really diving deep and getting in tune with the plant world and Mother Nature. And and you made a great point talking earlier about when you said that each organ, or you referenced a couple of organs in the body, but each organ on the body revamps or give me the right word here, revamps itself or renews itself every so often. Everything has. Absolutely. Your
everything
whole
has a certain
body has
guideline
new
for
cells every
like
7 years. From the top to the
Like
bottom.
There you go. From the top
New
to the
cells.
bottom.
7
Now,
years.
one issue I have is we live in the time of the now where everybody wants to get healed right now. Everybody wants their food right now, so they don't have time to cook. Everybody wants the money right now, so they don't want to put in the work. So me as a herbalist, when I go around and deal with my different clients, some folks they are so prone to just
stubborn.
They're so stubborn. They're thinking that these herbs are going to work on their bodies right now. They may have an immediate effect as maybe a nutritive supplement that you take in your body. But if you're really looking for the medicine or to heal yourself, there needs to be longevity in things, and there needs to be consistency with things, man. And it all has to start with your diet. Before I prescribe anything to anybody, I always have to ask what they consume and ask what they eat, man, because that's where it starts first, in our gut. Everything has to go to our gut before it gets dispersed and filtered through our liver and our gallbladder to get dispersed to the rest of the body. So I always make sure to be adamant with people to Hey, focus on what you're eating. Change some things up. Do things different. Cut out the dairy. Cut out the cut out the processed foods. You know, not everybody's gonna cut out the meat. Cut out the meat, but if you can, cut it out or limit the amount of time that you spend consuming it. You know, meat used to be a delicacy back in the day. You know, used to be something that you only ate maybe once a week.
Exactly. It's very nutrient dense. That's why it takes so long to digest. Yes.
Absolutely.
And you absolutely are meant to eat lots of fiber with it. And people don't. Like you go to a steakhouse, you order a 20-ounce steak, which is like 3 servings of steak anyway. And then you have a side of potatoes with a side of some more starch. I don't know. What's another starch people get instead of the broccoli or asparagus? They do that. They get double potatoes, or they get a double stuffed potato and steak, and that's it. That's all they eat. They don't even eat the skin on the potato. Like, and that's
one of the best parts.
Yeah,
it's one of the best parts.
I was telling my son that about that the other day because he just wanted to drink juice, right? I'm like, drinking juice is fine, but guess what? You're missing the best part, which is the fiber and the fibrous that's inside of the fruit. You need to eat the actual fruit, dude. Like, he saw me one day eat an entire lemon. Now, trust me, this was difficult. Okay, but I ate because my throat was hurting. And one of my preacher friends called me and said, "Hey, eat a lemon." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
how do you eat a lemon?" Like I'm thinking. He said, "No, eat the whole thing, all of it." He said, "Everything except for the seeds. Eat the entire thing." He said, "Boil it, put a little sugar in it, some honey, and eat the whole thing." And I was like, "All right." So I ate the lemon. Felt fine the next day. I was like, that was amazing. But that just goes to show you just how much nutrients and things we're missing because we just want to eat the sweet part. We just want to eat the good part, right? We don't want to deal with the bitter. And that's really messed up. That's just how life is.
That's like, what the good stuff is. Like
in the bitter, it's bitter to your mouth, but it's good to your tummy. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. This is how the Bible teaches us, right? The word of God is bitter to the mouth, but good to the stomach. But guess what the world does? The world does this. It feeds you good things that's to your mouth, but when it get into your belly, it comes back up, and you're like, I can't do nothing with this. There's a message there. This is the reason why God created the way that He created it. So we just got to get it together.
Hey, Brethren, I got to chime in again because I got some more wonderful knowledge to drop, man. And speaking in terms of the basic instructions before leaving Earth, something that I guarantee the preacher man never talk about on Sundays, man. Never talk about it, and I guarantee it, man. I'll give somebody $100. I'm putting a deal out there, right? I'll give you $100 if you could prove to me that your preacher man told you this on Sunday. But Genesis 1:29 and 30 says, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." You see what I'm saying? It dives deep. It makes you put a lot in perspective, you know? Like I said last week too, man. People say they love God, but they shun nature. How you going to love God and shun nature? That's an oxymoron right there. That does not go hand in hand. Mother Nature is God, man. So people got to understand that, the reflection.
It's stripped out how the Bible teaches it, and we just skim over this part for whatever reason. But when you look at that part that says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son," we, for whatever reason, we run past that part of the world. God didn't just die for you. He didn't just die for me. He didn't die for this flesh. He died for all of creation. People don't realize that. Like everything that God created, He died for. He died to reclaim it, to get it all back so that we might be saved, that we might be part of His family. You know what creation is actually doing right now? Creation is waiting on us to get it together so that God can come back, so that we can all we think creation is just like sitting around just living and eating and pooping and dying. No, they're waiting. Birds are literally waiting on us to get it together and inherit the kingdom of God. They're already there. They're just waiting on us. And we don't want to do it because we don't feel like we're connected to this place. We're so disconnected. We're so disconnected from Mother Earth. This is still where we create. Guess what, y'all? You're dust.
Yep.
You were made from
Yeah.
this. You are not created in some air and then put here. No, God reached down into the dirt and made it into man, and then He blew into it. So don't think that you're not connected to this. We are interdependent on earth. We are interdependent on this universe. We're interdependent on anything that man finds within the confines of our viewpoint. And if that's the case, then God is waiting on us. Creation is waiting on us to get it together. We just don't want to do it. I don't know why. I ain't figured it out yet.
It's such a lazy society, and I blame the frequencies for that. You know, we on the show talking about music and beats. I'm gonna blame a lot of that on the frequency, even though there's other multiple factors that play a role in that. But the music that's being played out there, man. Yes. How can you expect people to grow up and thrive and become in tune with what's going on around us if all you hearing is about the wickedness, man? And you got people at 4 or 5 years old shaking their tail feather out there, man. Come on now. You know,
it's funny that you brought that up too, because I was listening to David Banner earlier. Please don't ask why. I was I ain't listening to him in a minute, so of course, yeah. And I was like, this song was lit, and this was like 03. So mind you, I'm a freshman in high school listening to David Banner.
Which song were you listening to? Which song were you listening to?
What was it?
Down on the floor.
No, it was his other one. I think it was on that same or similar, like a pimp. No, it was the other one. No. Where is it? Because it's still, that was the last one I was playing. That ain't the one I was listening to. It was what is it?
Oh man, I ain't listening to David Banner in a minute.
Get Like Me. That's the one. And that was my jam. Oh man, that was my jam. And then I was like, let me ask my mama a question. So I was like, what was a song that was out when you were like a freshman? Now, mind you, she named like the Four Tops, Must Be a Special Lady. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, and then here I come pulling up. I'm gonna be 60, your age, listening to Get Like Me. And they're banging David Banner. I'm like, oh, we did this to ourselves. We definitely did this to ourselves.
Oh, that's deep, Dr. Og, man. I think we all could relate one way or another, and I'm fortunate enough to have an old soul in me too. So I'm glad I got away from all the wicked music, and I could really channel my inner old soul and listen to all of these classical artists, man. The ones that paved the way for the last generation of artists that came into play. Let me ask y'all ever heard of a group called Dead Prez?
Dead Prez?
I think I have.
Oh, look at this, man. I can't believe he just did that.
That was the cut, though. Yo, and he did that. That was my favorite part.
It's the version. So.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember this song.
Mr. Heavy, Get Like Me. We used to crank the Chris Brown off of this, man. We made a dance called the Chris Brown off that. Yo, man, y'all just took me back with that one. That was crazy, Will. Nonetheless, like I say, man, you know, we look at the difference in music from back then and back now, and we look at the way that the youth are being raised up today too. We have a lot of children raising children, as I like to say as well, man. You know, what I mean is a lot of these young women and men are becoming parents at such a young age, and puberty is coming along at such a earlier stage in life.
Right.
Than we're used to, and it's really changing up the way that people are developing, you know. And if we're projecting frequencies and sound waves out there like that through words, like I said, we touched back on word, sound, power again. The things that we're saying, we listed a whole heap of things, and even Dr. Og talked about that on the last stretch of the show, how the sematics is ever present in different forms of crystallization, you know. And we think about how our body is composed of all of this water, you know. And we see when we're walking around in public how the music is affecting the people. I could speak on it because I was once a product of the music, you know. And I think that's very deep perspective to give, man, because usually a lot of folks, they may give an outside perspective. of how things look, but to give an inside perspective and to acknowledge, like, yes, this is what was happening. That's why I'm such an advocate against all of that wicked stuff that's being put out there, man, because it's so detrimental. It's a cancer, it's a disease, man. It's causing a lot of destruction in the community. It's causing a lot of sickness. You know, black folk in general have been held down for the longest time, man, and slavery has never left this planet, man. It never was eradicated. Yeah, we celebrate Juneteenth, but people celebrate the wrong reason. They celebrate it saying that slavery was eradicated, and not too many people know the history on that. But slavery was never eradicated. It's only evolved. It's become to include more and more groups of people throughout this entire world, and it's more so a spiritual and a mental slavery. Yeah, we still deal with our bouts of racism and things of that nature, and we see how all of this stuff is heavily projected on the news, and that's why we get such a distorted look at different peoples, man. You know, not all white folk is bad, not all Asian folk is bad, not all Hispanic people are bad, not all black folk are bad. You know, but we use those one particular instances that's happening in the neighborhood to highlight an entire group of people. Right. You know, and until we look beyond that, until we start to understand the deeper nature of this, and the ones who are in control. Right. Until then we cannot win the battle, man. You know, more people need to understand it like this. The music is a very powerful driving force. We see how when we watch ads on television, you know, I won't watch an ad on my phone unless it's a little groovy, man. You know, if it's a little funky for me, I might be like, yeah, I don't like what you're advertising, but I like your music. You know.
So it's really tripped out. Actually, I'm reading this book right now called The Unseen Realm by Dr. I think his first name is Michael Heisner. Michael Heisner, yeah. And it's very biblical based, and for the most part, it's talking about the things that we don't see, that we physically can't see because they're happening in the spiritual realm, right? And what Dr. Heisner starts talking about is how that there are these, of course, there's these principalities, and principalities are basically governing bodies, people or things that have been placed in authority over us to persecute us. And when I say us, I'm not talking about Christians. I'm not talking about religious people. I'm talking about humans.
Absolutely.
Right? Human beings. It is designed to cause human beings to turn away from God. It's got nothing to do with your religion, your background, your race. It's all about human being, right? And so what it talks about is that we get this clear understanding that these principalities use certain tools to get our attention. They use certain things to cause us to do things that we shouldn't be doing. And guess what one of those tools are? Sound.
Should have known.
Because guess what? Guess what? The devil, Mr. Satan himself, is the prince of the air. Did you know that? Did you know that this is one of the high princes in God's kingdom that was considered the prince of music?
Yes. Oh, beautiful. I'm glad you said it because I was going to say it.
I mean, I watched that TV show. That TV show, they are like, they do their research because he's like, he's skilled. He pull out a thing on the piano, like he be singing it, like he's real theatrical because that's gonna catch your attention. When they said that the serpent came up and whispered, he wasn't shouting it. He was able to whisper a suggestion in each ear. Like, how powerful does that be when you even just lightly vibrate the air and you can change the whole course of a whole
all the history got messed up. Whisper? Are you kidding me?
Hey,
so many people are influenced.
Right.
Yes. So many people are influenced by them whispering devils, man, as we call them. You know, I see so many people in my community out here, man. I'm out here in the G, man. I'm out here in GI, man, Gary, Indiana. You see, and I see so many people in the community that are affected by all these singing canaries, man, or all these whispering devils. You know, somebody that'll come on their shoulder and say something wicked about me, or say something wicked about people around me, and they have no no reason to do that. They only have their own hidden agenda because they don't like to see the righteous prevail, man.
Yeah.
When somebody is doing something so great and so powerful that is bringing notoriety their way, they want to automatically try to disrupt that. And these are those particular forces coming out there. The word, sound, power. You know, somebody could come in your ear and say, "Hey, watch out for that man. He's doing this, that, and the other." You know, and that'll cause somebody to do a whole 180 on you. You know, they once was your friend, now they stabbing you in the back, man. You know, it's something serious. Or they smile in your face and then talking trash about you behind your back. You know, it's so wicked how sound could be used like that. But once again, how we was just talking about music being a product of Lucifer. You know, that once again, there's pros and cons to it all. You know, music is a tool, just like everything else is a tool. Music is a tool, and it can be used for good, or for bad.
Because who was that? Gabriel had a horn. That was the only way them gates was opening. So sound is actually used all throughout. The cherubs and the angels singing, hearing, like, you don't just hear them talking to you; they sing to you. Okay, they want you to feel what they say.
Whenever you look at a passage in the Bible, when God says, "And they heard my voice," think about it. Like, God is not saying that, hey, I'm gonna step up next to you and just stand there. No, you gotta hear it's about the sound, because it's the one gate. It's the one gate. And I venture to say it like this. And King, I think you gonna get with this. It's the one gate. And when I say gate, I'm talking about the gates into our body, right? The mouth gate, the eye gate, and the ear gate. It's the one gate that you can protect, but you can't at the same time. Does that make some sense? Like, you can, but even when you do this, it gets muffled. But when you do this, you can't see nothing. It's darkness. When you do this, you can't say nothing. But when you do this, the only way to destroy this gate is from the inside out.
But the crazy thing is that technically your whole body is an ear.
Oh wow!
Oh my goodness!
Because it's vibration. So everything in your body is already vibrating. That's where those frequencies that you were talking about earlier that resonate with different parts of your body. That's why, because literally the differences in your cells and the different jobs that they do give them different frequencies that they will vibrate at. Like your heart muscle is a lot stronger, and it tends to be a lot stiffer than like your regular skeletal muscles are. So it doesn't vibrate at the same frequency as your skeletal muscle, but it definitely is a muscle. Right. And knowing that there are different frequencies that will affect your heart more than it will the rest of your body. And you can actually heal a lot of things just by affecting your heart. Because your heart has its own intelligence, it has its own mind, it sends its own signals, it has its own memory separate from the brain. Like the heart actually still survives once you go
Hold that thought. Let me chime in. Hold that thought, and I'm gonna let you continue. But a great philosophy, a great ancient piece of wisdom is we have three brains. We have the mind, we have the heart, and we have the gut. Anyway, continue.
And see, you walk me right into the next point. And then your stomach actually has more neural receptors and feelers and sensors than anywhere else in your body. Your stomach is probably the number one source of information that your body gets. Yes. So even breathing air, the air goes to your stomach. Like, you breathe it in your lungs, but you're not breathing directly down. So your stomach is still tasting the air around you. And so that's why when you smell food and it smells good, your stomach starts to growl even if you weren't hungry. Your mouth starts to salivate because your stomach already has picked up the sensory of food in the air from you smelling it, and those senses being the stomach. And that's why when your stomach, when you have a stomach ache, everything else in your body shuts down. You don't want to think, you don't want to move, you're not trying to eat nothing, get out my face, I don't know. That's pretty much why, because everything starts there, and because that's your prime source of nutrition for your cells, your body has to be very aware of what's in there, because that's going to get disseminated to the rest of your body.
Wow.
Oh, man, we just knocked some folks upside their head with a
I didn't
conversation
know
like
that
that,
one.
man.
Your whole body is an
What folks you
ear.
know having conversation like that?
Come on, man. Hey, but
These
no,
are the conversations. If we
that
could
makes a
make
lot.
music, eh, one second, I'm gonna let you jump in.
Go ahead.
If more of us artists, musical artists, made music about stuff like this, man, to see how much more educated
That's what I was
people
going
can
with.
get, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where you was going to.
yeah. Cause think about it. Like here we are. Like okay, just like you're a musical artist. When you make that music, and I was trying to figure out like where is this coming from? Like when I sit down and I'm doing a little artwork, or if I'm trying to make a beat or something like that, and I feel it. Like you ever seen Dre make a beat? Like Dr. Dre, when he makes a beat, he always talking about you gotta feel it. You know, boom.
Yes,
boom.
man.
And but that's the thing. Like he feels it, or we feel it in other things, and then we flip it around to something that we can feel in us. And I never thought of it that way. Our entire body is listening to our environment. Like, oh, dude, y'all just don't understand. That's like blowing me away. That's just blowing me away.
That is mind blowing. The connection of the dots is so synchronistic, man. I love it, man. It's so beautiful, man. I made a song about called Red Clover. You probably heard it on there, the Red Clover. So I started listing all these different things that the red clover is good for, and how it's great for the woman, and what it does to relieve stress during the moon cycle, and the release of excess water, and this, that, and the other. How it's good for the heart, how it's good for the blood pressure. Then I got the next track about yellow dock and dandelion and burdock root. You know, going on a wild forage, you know, things of that nature. But it's still got that boom bap, that hip hop vibe to it, man. Yeah. It still keep people connected. It's so unique. It's so different than the frequencies we hear projected nowadays, man.
Yeah.
And this is why the radio stations won't accept my music, man.
Yeah.
I done lived in Miami, Florida.
Right.
I done lived in California, Washington State, and back here in Indiana, and nobody will accept the music, man. And I already know why it is, because it goes against what the agenda calls for already, you know? The agenda calls for them putting out these frequencies like that, man. If somebody came about like me and started speaking about Marcus Garvey and about the revolution, man, and freeing yourself and being at tune with the creator, where are you ever going to see that fitting in with what's being put in rotation out there? It's never going to fit in. And I've done sensed and felt and seen a lot of the ridicule that's been given to artists like myself, you know. They won't get acknowledged like that. And I think it's very important that more people band together and start to make music like that, man, because it's so different. It's so unique. Nobody's talking about things like that, man. And I'm going to continue to make music about that, man. I'm going to infuse the science. I'm going to infuse the metaphysics. I'm going to infuse Mother Nature. I'm going to infuse our daily interactions. Things of that nature. We have to really get back to source with the music, you know. There's a good way and a bad way to use it, just like we spoke about, you know. It's a good and a bad way to use it, and it's been used since the beginning of time. Sound wars is not an old thing. This is ongoing, you know. The crusades never stopped, in a sense, you know. A musical crusade. So we all need to come together and channel our creativity into a more conscious sense of art. When it comes to musicians, you know, when it comes to people that do graphic arts and stuff like that, like yourself, man, hey, I already know that the spirit flowing through you, and it's cold, man, you know. It comes out.
It gets you. It's like a chill. It's like, man, like all of a sudden it's just like, okay, I'm here, I got it, and it comes and goes for me. Like I used to be like a moment where I was always vibing, but you know, with the kids and everything, they interrupt that moment. Yeah. But when I'm in it, oh man, I'm in there, and you can just feel it. Like I can feel every dot, I can feel every beat, I can feel every stroke, man. And it's just like, love that. Wow, man.
Yeah. So deep, man. The interconnection of everything around us, from the body to the music. It's a never-ending chain, a never-ending rope. We all connected, man, one way or another. See, synchronicity and symbiosis is what makes this planet go round, man, and that's real talk. And we got to keep that up. We got to get back to Mother Nature, man. If anybody ever has a creative block and they can't get their creativity out, go do something else, man. Spend 30 minutes over there. Go read a book. Go out to Mother Nature. Do some push-ups. Have a juice. You know, watch something that's influential. Utilize these tools that we have available nowadays to go ahead and make us bring out that inner artist within us, man. Everybody is unique, man. Everybody has their own story to tell, you know. And as musicians, as artists, it's our duty to continue telling the story. but tell it in the light of truth. You know, let's not try to cover anything up. Let's do it in the light of truth, man.
Right.
And all due respect to the Most High, man. That's real talk.
Because even Jay-Z said the stuff that they singing, they ain't none of them did none of that. Because if they did, they would all be in jail. Because you just told on yourself. So
That's real talk. That is deep.
That's dope.
Because I think they learned that from somebody who ended up going to jail for telling their business.
Of course.
Hey, absolutely. Come on.
Oh, you thought that they was just gonna think it was entertainment? No, trust me, they checking every line.
Right, every line.
Every bar.
That makes sense.
Go and see if there's someone named. What did he say his name was? Pookie.
Right.
Find Pookie.
Pookie did in 1977. Be like, Woo.
Yeah, man, it's been one hell of a day. I know for all of us. Doc, I know you've been busy. Will, I know you've been busy as well, man. You know, it's been one of those days. It's been one of those weeks, you know, but nonetheless, it's been a beautiful one at that. I love the rain coming down, man. I love the interaction that we all able to have on this Tuesday all the time. You know, I'm willing to dedicate an hour block of my time. Even if we stretch over the mark, you know, it's always wonderful to spend that hour with some like-minded individuals and give a new perspective in a sense too, man. Sometimes we get caught up in just like when we're eating the same things over and over again, our body get used to that. When we're doing the same workout regime over and over again, body gets used to that. You know, changing up the crowds that we hang with. I'm not saying that go from hanging with the righteous folk to hanging with the wicked folk, but be a little diverse with it, man. Change up the vibes, you know, because there's so many people out there, man, in many walks of life, and there's many other experiences that we can learn from and put into our perspective, and then really get in tune and shape our perception of reality, man. Because like I said before, this world is not full of wickedness, man. Look at all the beauty around us. Look at this beautiful scenery, this skyline I got in the back of me, man, with the mulberry trees, you know, with some pawpaw trees I planted down there. Got a grapevine over here, echinacea, got some cornflowers, got a lot of wild medicine growing around this way, flowers, all of these beautiful things. Got the wild edibles out there, the black cap raspberries. You know, there's so much more beauty in life, man. And when we get back in tune with ourselves and with the Creator, with the Most High, man, hey, man, the truth is the future is inevitable. You know, it really is, man. It's in the palms of our hands. We just got to realize it.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I was literally talking about like all of this stuff on the science show, and just talking about like how precise the periodic table is, and the thought that went into setting it up. Yeah, and that learned me a little something. I was like, oh, he did that, huh? But it's like the way it was set up, because there were a ton of elements that we have now that weren't around when he, you know, designed the periodic table. So there were a lot of empty spaces, but he already had a way to kind of guesstimate, you know, or determine what element might be there, its properties, what it does. So he can tell you all this stuff about this element, but not what it looks like. Like if you saw it, he wouldn't know it until it started exhibiting these qualities. And so I kind of liken that to how we are with people. Like you have to absolutely put people in their proper element, in their proper elemental grouping, in their proper space along the period and all of that, because some people are a lot more volatile or reactive than other people are. Some people are perfectly content with themselves, by themselves, and there's not a whole lot that can perturb them. But some people are on the other end of that spectrum and are extremely reactive. And those people are exactly who they're supposed to be, who they need to be to make all of it work, to make everything fit together, to make all of us, you know, be able to find our own space, because we take up our own space. So if you're not trying to take up my space, now I can find my space because you're not in it, because you're in yours.
That's a deep piece of work, man.
I know,
right? I want to show you a little wonderful piece of work right here.
Okay. Is that a beehive?
No, it looks like ants. Is that ants?
Take one more guess.
Wasp.
Hey, that's a wonderful frame right here, full of beautiful honey from my bees, man.
Okay.
And something so serious.
You do got bees. Ooh.
Oh yes, I do some beekeeping, man. I'm beekeeping right in the hood, right off of 25th and Buchanan, right off of 25th and Grant Street by the county market in the Walgreens right there, St. Timothy's Church. I'm right on the corner over there, man. Got a wonderful farm going on. Got 2 beehives back in there.
Where you
at. Hey, watch out. Trust me, the bees are my guardians, man. They make sure that they make sure to chase any bad people away, man. So we don't never have to. And like I said, the vibes over there, we made that a community piece over there. We got so many different beds. We're growing so much fruit and food and herbs out there for medicine, for consumption. It's a wonderful thing going on. Just trying to get some more of the members of the community over there in the 5th district to come out. Everybody's still in the phase of looking out their window through the blinds, watching us do all the work, and then coming out to reap what we sow. You know, it's something serious. But nonetheless, we're doing some beekeeping right now, and we got this wonderful honey that we just made a pool from. So we got 10 frames of honey harvested up right now. That's roughly 2.5 gallons that we got from that. So I've got some jars of honey for sale that we're putting out there and things of that nature. But something very interesting about that frame right there is the shape in there that I think defines everything around us, and it's the hexagon. You know, we find that in so many different elements around us, man. But it's just a really beautiful piece of creation right there. I just figured I'd share that and do a little self-promotion of my nonprofit organization called Grow America. You see? Gotta do a little something out there for them one time.
Can I share this?
Can I share this? Yeah, man.
Please.
Sure, man. Anybody need to share that worldwide, man.
Absolutely. Please share.
And I'm loving the ambiance music in the background.
Man, you too? I thought it was just me. I didn't speak on it.
I'm working on it.
No, but it was funny when you brought up about how it was raining there, but it's like, you know, we have like all of these like sleep meditation sounds and stuff, and the best ones are the sounds of nature. And it's like you kind of wonder why. Like nature already has all the frequencies to heal us, to empower us, and all of that. And even the rain, it changes the electric potential of the air. So you're breathing, like, remember I was talking about hydrogen, like it changes how hydrogen is moving around in the air, and hydrogen is extremely reactive. So if you go out into the rain while it's storming, while it's pouring down, don't carry anything metal or be the tallest thing. I'm not trying to send you out.
What happened? You muted.
Hey man, I thought it was just me. I thought
she hopped up here pushing and clicking stuff.
Oh man, come on, you.
It's all the buttons. But getting out there in that type of atmosphere, it creates a like a torrential change in your physical cellular structure. Like it perturbs your body to its core. So that's why when you see people who are like the extreme, sports people, the mountain climbers and all that, that's why they do and can do all this, because they be out there in all kinds of weather, all kinds of whatever, and all of that changes and affects their bodies.
Right.
And like Selena had mentioned, is you train your body, and the more you train it in nature, the more building blocks you have access to. And it's crazy. You remove the limits, like the boxers and stuff that train at high altitude, because the oxygen is less. There's less oxygen the higher up you go, so your muscles are used to working with a lower amount of oxygen, and then when you finally get full oxygen, they're going to be fully like invigorated, because now they have enough fuel to do what they were doing with half that amount of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
a big piece of work, man. Oh, that's wonderful, man. I love seeing the youth out there, man. I love to see the youth. That's the future right there, Dr.
Curious when she gonna be a computer programmer or something, because she is too swift with all these electronics, and she's not even 2 yet.
I tell you, it's such a trip how this it's such a trip how this new generation is coming in, man, and they're just very technologically inclined, man. You know. And then you have some like, well, he looked like he was sleeping. They all gonna point him out. I said, then you got some like that who might be sleeping all the
It's
time,
probably
man.
close to his bedtime.
Yes, it surely is, man. About that time. But yeah,
Yep.
man, the way technology has definitely affected the youth as the years have progressed, man. Since I want to say 2000, at least from back when I could remember, the youth, every generation after 2000 was just so much more technologically advanced, man. Look at the way that you and I could maneuver on a computer or an electronic device, and you know our folks are still struggling to use a television remote. You know, trying to work a television. Cell phones, man. Look at the technological jumps that happen, man. Some people, they don't even know how to use a cell phone if they're from a later generation. But we start to see how this has affected the youth over time, man. And it's such a special generation that's coming into play in these next few years. You know, it's going to be really something deep to see what the next, I want to say 10 years is going to be like, you know, with these next youth coming up. Once they reach their 20s and once they reach their 30s, there's going to be a lot of things to be created and maybe a lot of new chapters opened up, you know, maybe some new elements discovered on the periodic table, you see?
Yeah, I was saying earlier that's why I love like sci-fi movies and stuff, because it's like you get a glimpse into like the creativity, the ideas, the possibilities of what's next. Like you could have, like, you know, people are like real apprehensive about putting chips and stuff in their body. That's fine, but like you could wear like hardware, glasses. I can't see, so I'm probably gonna have them on all the time anyway. I can put a chip in my glasses that has all of like the information that I would normally carry around in
Man,
a
oh
wallet.
man.
And then I wouldn't have to like go to a checkout line or none of that. I could just grab what I came in there for and then walk on out, because they've already logged, you know, my account number or whatever to charge me for whatever I just picked up and walked out with. So
Oh man, it's
and
gonna be
then
the
they
world
can,
of bionics, man. You know,
I'm
man
telling
merging with
you.
machine.
And I mean, technically, we're already kind of doing that with the prosthetics and stuff to help with,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, people who've been injured, people born with, you know, missing limbs and stuff. Like, because I don't really like call stuff like that birth defects, because that's assuming that you know how they were supposed to, you know, make it to this side of the of the creative pool. So,
Hey, real talk.
if they showed up here and they're alive and breathing, that's how they were supposed to make it. Because the odds of doing that are like pretty much statistically impossible. Like every person that is born, the odds of actually making it to being born is 14 trillion to 1.
Wow.
We don't even have
Wow.
a trillion people on this planet.
That is something, that's an astronomical number right there.
Yeah, that makes it statistically impossible. So every baby is literally a miracle. And, you know, people don't understand that, because, you know, that, like I said, that concrete evidence, that science, that, you know, that we can touch this portion hasn't been, you know, reunited, because they were never separate in the beginning, to be reunited with spirituality. And I love seeing how people are like really starting to ask those questions and delve into that stuff and really want to know, like, well, why is this stuff separate? Like, why is it that, you know, I don't understand waves and frequencies and things like that, but my body and everything that I experience is that.
Absolutely.
Like
Limited to that
my
one sense,
spirit
man. Come
is
on
the
now.
energetic you know, body of me, and it absolutely perturbs the world in an energetic way. So why don't I understand energy? Because that's not pushed in schools. That's not actually taught in a way that more than just the technically inclined brains can understand, because not everybody is a left brain thinker. There are plenty of artists who can absolutely understand everything about whatever science you want to teach them. You just have to teach it in a different way, and they don't do that. There's not that type of specialization to, well, girl. She laughed too.
I never feel
She know what she doing.
You done? But
Oh my goodness.
I love the rejoining of those two fields because they were never meant to be separate. Science is incomplete without spirit, and spirit is incomplete without science, because science is the physical world, and our spirits, our souls can't be here without being tied to the physical world, to our bodies. So you have to understand them together and how they interact and how they rely on each other.
Ooh, man. You done filled our cup full of knowledge this evening. Now, I think we all had a role to play into that. It's a wonderful thing, though, man. Like I said, always enjoy to hear people talking my language, man, and giving me some more insight into what I know already as well. Hey, man, we're looking at about 15 minutes past our runtime, man. How we feel about wrapping things up here this evening time, so we can get some food in our bellies and start to wind down for this evening time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sound good, man. Hey, well, like I said, man, give thanks for having this show on Tuesdays, man. You know, all due respect to the Most High on that one, man, to make this possible, to give us that 1 hour block like right there, to go ahead and put out a lot of truth, to give us a deeper perspective, to give us a deeper insight into this world around us, man, to not separate science from spirituality. We want to mend them together. We don't want to use the music for wicked, man. We want to use it for positive. To overstand the frequency, man, is to overstand mankind and to overstand our creator. So nonetheless, we're going to have a hell of a show next week, so y'all better stay in tune. We got some more music coming for y'all. Stay in tune for the beats, man, because there's plenty of that coming with it. Yo, I'm your co-host, Chris Lyon of Marley King Out This Way. Give thanks to my brethren, Will. And give thanks to our special guest this evening time, my right wing, my right hand, Dr. Ock right there. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely.
You already know. Hey, my good brethren and sister, and peace and one love.
Yes, sir.
Good night. RockTruth or nothing at all.
Yeah, man.